Hey guys, it's Allison. Today's video is going to be what I read for the month of January. I have 5 books to show you. 3 of them are mystery, 2 of them are fiction books. I know this video isn't everybody's cup of tea, but I love reading books and I love to share that with people, and I love hearing about other books that people read. So if you have a book recommendation, please let me know and I will check it out. Most likely I'll read the book that you tell me to read. So today I'm going to be showing you guys 5 books, 3 mystery and 2 fiction, I believe. So my two goals I had for my reading year of 2021 was to read more Kindle books and to be able to start tracking the books that I read. So I've actually been using the Goodreads app, and if you don't know what the Goodreads app is, it's basically an app that lets you track all the books you've read, how many pages you've read, and it lets you review books, so you can review books you don't like, books you love, and other people will get to see what you wrote. So 3 of these books that I've read are were Kindle books, and that's why if I go like this, I'm gonna hopefully be able to pop up the books somewhere using the green screen to show you, because I don't have them with me. I only have 2 physical books with me to show you guys today. I look different right now because it turns out that my camera turned off while I was recording, so I have to record all the book descriptions again. So I'm going to do this quickly. The first 3 are mysteries. I'm going to be not very detailed because if I give you all the details, it's going to ruin the book for you, and if you choose to read the book, I don't want it to get ruined. So the first book is going to be The Guest List by Lucy Foley, I believe. Yes, I got it right, The Guest List. So in this book, we follow 4 different point of views: the bride, the plus one, the groomsman, whoever the groomsman has standing up with him, we follow him, and we also follow the party planner. So in this book, this girl who owns a magazine and this famous actor are getting married on a tiny island off the coast of Ireland, I believe. So with this book, I'm going to have to give less details because it's basically a Clue-inspired book. So somebody dies at this wedding, and all 4 of them point of views are trying to help you figure out who killed this person. Honestly, this book was amazing to me. I got my dad to read it. He's loving it so far. 5 stars. The way that she puts everything together at the end just makes sense. It just makes sense. It's an amazing, amazing book. She also has another book called The Hunting Party, which is 5, I think it's 5 friends go hunting on New Year's Eve and 4 come back. 1 was murdered throughout that day that they went hunting. So if you love mystery books, if you love the movie Clue, if you love the game Clue, or if you like murder mystery games or movies, these books are going to be for you. I highly, highly recommend them. If I give you any other information about this book, it's going to ruin it. But yeah, I highly suggest to read this book. And I think it's coming out as a movie or a show sometime soon. But yeah, the point of views, 4 different point of views aren't bad at all. They actually go very well together. This book does go from past to present, and I do appreciate that, because if it doesn't go in the past, or if it didn't go in the past, you aren't going to understand what's happening in the present time. So the next book that I have is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. This is a movie, actually. I know some people did have a problem with the movie because it was based in the USA, while the book is based in the United Kingdom. So in this book, actually, before I say that, I'm going to have to give you a not so detailed description, because if I give you, again, too much detail, it's going to ruin the book. So in this book, we follow Rachel. Rachel takes a train every single day to work. Every single day. And while she takes this train, she looks outside the window, and she starts just checking out the houses and the people who live there. So one day she sees this couple standing outside on their balcony, and she starts seeing them every single day, so she gives them the name Jess and Jason. She doesn't really know if that's their names or not, but she just made it up. And in her mind, she kind of starts making up their personalities, where they work, who they are, how they met, while she's never really met them. Until one day she is going to work and she sees Jess doing something that she didn't believe was in Jess's character, and she kind of gets upset about it, and she was planning on going to their house and leaving a note in their mailbox for them to read, but she didn't do that because I think it was 2 days after that, Jess ends up going missing and she's on national television, and Rachel thinks that the little piece of information the little piece of information that she saw that night or that day is the missing clue that detectives need in order to be able to find Jess. So she helps, and I use help very loosely. The detectives try to find Jess, but little does Rachel know that she plays a bigger role in this missing persons case than she realizes. To mention in another book, I think I gave that book 4 stars also. It was really good. So this next book I have is by E. Lockhart called We Were Liars, and this was a tearjerker, so if you don't like to cry for books, I don't think that you should read this book. I cried actually, but on Goodreads some people said that it didn't make them cry. So with this book and any of the other ones, I have to be very careful with the details because I read a Goodreads review that wasn't marked as a spoiler and it kind of gave everything away, so I'm going to read the back for you. So it says, if anyone asks you how it ends, just lie. We are Sinclairs. We live, at least in the summertime, on a private island off the coast of Massachusetts. Perhaps that is all you need to know, except that some of us are liars. So with Candace, she ends up getting hurt that day or that night, and she gets a brain injury, and so she's kind of forgotten everything that happened that summer. And so she's really excited for the following summer after she got injured to go back to the island to figure out what happened. But little does she know that she's not able to go, that she's not allowed to go, and none of her family members are giving her a reason why she can't go, and they're not trying to help her figure out what happened that night. So I think a good 2 years goes by and they finally let her go back to the island, and on that summer she puts all the pieces together as to what happened to her family that night and how it made her lose her memory and how she got injured. So the next 2 books are going to be on the Kindle. For this, I don't like giving negative reviews, but for these books, they weren't just my cup of tea books. With that being said, my favorite books can not be your favorite, and your favorite I'm probably not going to like. So if any of these books sounds interesting to you, I highly suggest that you read it. First book that I gave a 2 stars, I think, is called Rhapsodic, and it's going to be by, let me check, Laura Thalassa. I'm going to put the name down here because I'm pretty sure I just ruined her name. So in this book we follow Calypso, who is a siren who, growing up, she ended up making deals with this guy named the Bargainer. She collects these beads for every single time that he does her a favor. And so they end up spending like a year together, and then magically, mysteriously, without reason, he just leaves her, gone. Until one day, I think when she was 22, he just shows up in her house and wants repayment of all the favors that he gave her. Little does she know that those favors are kind of interesting. Let's just say interesting. Personally, there was many reasons why I didn't like this book. There was no descriptions. There was no descriptions on how her best friend looked. There's very few descriptions of how the main character looked. The only time I remember getting a description was for the Bargainer. Just that he has white hair and he's pretty buff and looks like he works out a lot. Other than that, there was a lot of plot holes in the book, even though there's like 2 or 3 books after this book. But even then, I read the Goodreads reviews for the part 2, and it just seems like they weren't answered. So another reason that I didn't really like this book is there's a lot of grammatical errors. I'm not sure what happened there. I don't blame the author, but there just were a lot, so you have to reread over certain sentences. Another problem that I found on Goodreads that a lot of people had with this book is that it reminded them of Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Thorns and Roses series, specifically A Court of Mist and Fury, dealing with Rhysand's town or Rhysand city that he creates. The city in Rhapsodic and the city in The Court of Mist and Fury kind of seem the same. They have the same details. She describes it kind of the same as Sarah J. Maas does. So that's another issue that I kind of had. They seemed a little too similar, and I know that there's only so many ideas people can come up with, but these were kind of really similar to each other. So yeah, this book wasn't really what I intended as a good fantasy. The favors that the bargainer asked Calypso to do weren't really interesting, weren't really interesting to me. They were probably interesting to her, but not to me. It wasn't really fun. There was no action, a lot of action. There was like one scene, I think, of action. But other than that, it just wasn't something that I wanted or want to continue to read. I was super excited for it though, because I saw a lot of good reviews on Book Talk. And for those of you who don't know what Book Talk is, it's basically a part of TikTok that's all about books. So yeah. If you think this book is something that you want to read, then I highly suggest that you read it. Like I said before, my favorites are probably not going to be your favorites, and your favorites are not going to be mine, so who knows, you might actually like this book. Next book that I'm going to show you guys, it's called The Southerners Book Club's Guide to Vampire Slaying. Hold on, let me check to see if I read that right. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. So in this book, we follow a group of Southern women who creates a book club that read murder mysteries, thriller, and crime books. They live in a quiet suburban neighborhood where nothing bad happens. They carpool every day. They talk to each other almost every day. It's just like a nice southern neighborhood where you would want to grow up and raise your kids. But little do they know, this neighbor moves in and he's very handsome, but he's not what they expect. So in this book, the title says vampires. So you would think they would be vampires and they would be killing a lot of vampires because there's an S at the end of vampires. So let me just say, there was one vampire throughout the whole book, and he wasn't even a real vampire, or at least to me and what I consider a vampire. He had little tentacles that sucked the blood out of people's thighs. And he didn't, I think he had fangs. I don't know, I don't think he had fangs, I don't remember, but it just wasn't a vampire story to me. The book was very interesting in the first half, I'm not gonna lie. I was really excited because I thought this was gonna be my first 5-star book, but once she figures out that he was a vampire, it just went downhill from there. I went back on Goodreads to try and show you guys what I read for the review, but it turns out I actually didn't write a review. I just left a star review, so that should probably tell you where I stand on this book. So yeah, this is the end of the video. I'm so sorry about the short and choppy descriptions because they were short and choppy. For the first 3, I couldn't really say anything because it would ruin the book if I gave any more information out. I love showing you guys what I read, and I love hearing what other people read. So if you really like these books, let me know in the comments, and if you have any book recommendations, please let me know. And if you stuck this far to the ending of this video, I just want to say thank you so much. It really means a lot to me that people actually watch my videos. So yeah, if you have anything else that you want to say about any of these books, and just let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching this video.